In this video series, we'll look at job descriptions, and this one is web developers job description. So they are looking for a web developer, and I thought, hey, why don't we explain recruiters who a web developer is, so you can understand some of the technologies behind a little better. Looking at a web developer, again, let's imagine the three IT layers, okay? The three IT layers are front-end, back-end, and storage. Front-end, in relation to web development, could be a website. That's a front-end. Back-end system, it could be some API that the front-end is communicating with, or it could be just the back-end service. And the storage, simple storage for websites is MySQL. It's a relational database used usually for websites. It also could be MongoDB, but I would say MySQL is a good old standard in this case. So anyway, what I like is usually to think on some scale, and in this case I think about some hardcore stuff. Usually you have hardcore stuff, like really hardcore stuff, and then not hardcore at all. By hardcore I mean something like really challenging, something technically difficult. What could be technically difficult? Say you have an e-commerce shop like Amazon with gazillions of visitors every second. Well, that's technically challenging. You need to maintain 100% or near to 100% availability, with zero production issues, with users coming across different time zones in different times during a day. You need to balance the load, and it's really difficult, right, to migrate all the data and stuff like that. So say that's really hardcore. And then what is not hardcore at all is, for example, to have 10 static images somewhere on the website with no dynamic data. But that's trivia. Like any kid could upload 10 images to a website and leave them these 10 images. So that's not hardcore at all. And now web development I see somewhere closer to no hardcore at all. So web development is relatively easy these days, thanks to lots of libraries, lots of frameworks, such as Bootstrap. Bootstrap made it so easy to implement a website because they give you a framework that is already responsive. So even though a job of a web developer requires to make the website responsive, as soon as you implement one of these themes, Bootstrap themes, it's just a no-brainer. It's not difficult as it used to be. It's a no-brainer. You just learn the semantics, and then the template does all the hard work for you. So that's why on this I could also rename this as difficulty. So say difficulty to make a website responsive these days with Bootstrap, it's like literally none. You can do it easily. So looking at front end, it's also WordPress. WordPress is used by more than 25, maybe even 30% of websites globally, which is really crazy. So now web developer can use WordPress to build a content management system, to build a blog, to build a static or a little dynamic website with a few WordPress plugins included. So it's not really difficult these days to create a web. You can use, for example, PHP or .NET on the backend side to create some APIs if you need the web to be dynamic, which is usually the case, to store some data. But yeah, it's not really hardcore stuff. So it's good to keep in mind some scale, even when a company is looking for a full stack developer, for example. Then a full stack developer may prefer to work on something more hardcore than a simple website. Especially a senior full stack developer would probably oscillate somewhere here with focusing on some more hardcore stuff. So looking at the job description now again, we see they are looking for someone who will fix front-end JavaScript and CSS errors. They are looking for someone to develop front-end new features. So, also some of the features, if the company would be using WordPress, could be implemented using plugins in WordPress, which again is not rocket science. And they are looking for someone with a proficient understanding of web markup, including HTML and CSS. Like, again, this is the easy stuff. Like, literally everyone knows HTML, and when I say everyone, I mean developers. I haven't seen a developer who doesn't know HTML. Okay, so looking at web development, you can see it consists of front-end, back-end, and storage. Similarly, compared to full stack developers, but this is the lighter version, I would say. This is much less hardcore, because on the website you can use WordPress or Bootstrap or some of these themes, which makes it much easier. The barrier to entry is lower. So web development is also good entry point for junior developers. Okay, what else can we find here? Oh, experience with jQuery or React.js is recommended. Yeah, well, you can level up. Say you don't only need to use WordPress theme. You can also use a theme that you as a developer develop yourself. But again, it's usually a trade-off. You can buy a theme that costs $50, or you can create your own theme and work on it for 2 months, which would cost maybe $10,000. So there is always this trade-off. Sometimes there are reasons to go for the cheaper version. Sometimes the businesses need to build something of their own, which actually shifts a little toward the more difficult version of web development. Okay, so this is what I wanted to talk about now, to give you this little framework. As soon as you hear the company is looking for a web developer, don't forget to think, in these 3 layers, some of the technologies that are common in web development, and don't forget to ask, a hiring manager, hey, how difficult it is. What kind of a hardcore developer are you looking for? Someone, who likes to just build it using frameworks, templates, and pre-built systems, or do you need someone more hardcore who will build the systems from scratch? Let's wrap it up now. I would like you guys to share this video with your colleagues and friends, so they also learn how to hire developers with confidence. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.